Welcome to Lessons from the Ashes, the space where rising from the ashes is more than just a story, it's a movement. I'm your host, Stephanie Rose, and each week I sit down with unstoppable entrepreneurs who face life's toughest challenges and turn them into powerful comebacks. Together, we dive into the raw, unfiltered stories of resilience, business triumphs, and the personal journeys that shaped it all. If you're ready to be inspired by real-life phoenixes rising from the flames, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Lessons from the Ashes, a Westeros Media podcast. Today, we're going to do a very special podcast where I'm going to take you behind the scenes of actually diving into what makes up a brand, how do we make it cohesive, and how do we make it make sense inside your brain? And I know a lot of people have this question, and Cheryl is here with us and has agreed to be my amazing guinea pig for this session, and I'm very grateful. Thank you, Cheryl. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. And it's like, hi, I'm a guinea pig. Just kidding. Oink, oink, oink. My name is Cheryl and I use they, them pronouns. And I have been on a branding trial by fire evolution for like the last 3 years, as I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, just that I was here to do something. I knew that I wanted to help people, and I knew that I have like an engaging personality, and I'm approachable, and I'm just like honest and raw. And it's translated into lots of views and lots of engagement and zero sales.
Right. Well, maybe we should change that, because It seems like getting paid to do what you want to do is the best option. Okay, so I am going to just start by asking you some questions, and usually we would also write this all out, but we're going to just verbally do it all. And then you're going to have the recording so you can go back and look after. So don't worry about taking notes. Let's just get into it. Okay, so let's start with the very basic thing. If you had to choose one thing to do, and not for the rest of your life, for the next 2 months, one thing that you could do with clients to help them, what would it be?
I love working in one-on-one sessions with a client who doesn't know why they're stuck in a pattern, and like helping them guide back to themselves, like deep inside, and pulling out the truths that they don't even know are there. Like that is my favorite thing. I hop on a call like this, like you're doing with me right now. And I'm like, tell me more about this thing that you laughed at and moved on from quickly.
So very much in person, let me look into your soul type work.
Yes. Like if I had like a lot of money, people would come to like a location, and right now I do it online or at cafes and stuff, because I don't have like a physical brick and mortar. I'm like in my house, like most of us when we start our business. And yeah, I love the deep, intense, and beautifully heart to heart, face to face, like tell me who you really are moments with clients.
Okay. And so if you had to pick only like 2 ways of helping them during these sessions, what would be the main things you would use?
Visualization to help get their subconscious and conscious brains communicating to one another without having to rehash their trauma llamas, and physical body work. Like we do dancing, we do kundalini, we do stuff that makes your body move, so that your nervous system feels safe while touching tender parts.
Yes, very important. Okay, so when people come to you for this work, what is like, what are they asking? What do they keep asking you over and over again? What's the theme?
Oh my God, Cheryl, my life has been a mess. I was doing really well, and then something happened, and now I'm like upset, and everything's chaotic, and I don't know where to start, and I'm overwhelmed. And they just like have these little cute vulnerability tornadoes in my DMs or in my emails. They're like, I need a call with you so we can talk about this. And I'm like, okay. And then they hop on the call, and like we barely spend any time talking. We spend the time feeling.
Feeling your feelings.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's the number one thing. Yeah.
The very number one thing is my life is an absolute mess. Save me. And what else do these people have in common? Like, are they entrepreneurs? Are they not? Are they moms? Are they
The thing that they most have in common is they're creatives. So they're an artist of some kind, singer, dancer. Who else do I got? I got performing artists, like drag performers, actors, speakers, some of the high impact coaches, just people who like, oh no, I touched a vulnerability and now I feel sticky and weird.
I feel sticky and weird. I like that. And so they want to be, they're all working like where they have to be visible. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to take them into a very safe place to work it out with their body. Okay. And so when they come to you and you do these things, what do they say after you're done?
I feel so much lighter now. Thank you for seeing me and not judging me. They usually tell me I'm gifted, but I've never followed up and asked why they say that, because that feels really weird to do on a call. You're so good at this. Okay, whatever this is. Cool, thanks. If I could language that, I wouldn't be on this call right now.
Well, I have some homework for you. Next time you're going to ask them.
Okay, good.
And then you're going to DM me with what they said, and we're going to workshop that.
Sweet.
So when the things they do say, and that you do follow up with them, they say they feel lighter. They say, thank you for not judging me. What else do they say about how they feel after?
That it's safe to be themselves.
Okay.
Even when it's messy. And I think people are like genuinely attracted to me because I am just myself 110% all of the time, for better and worse. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, I want to be that. I'm like, I have to feel all the spectrums of human emotions in order to be this authentic and visible, right? Like I can't just only be happy and only be grumpy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I have a big sad.
Okay. So when they first start on the call and they come in and they're nervous, what do you say to get them to open up? What do you do?
So the very first thing I do is I like connect. I'm like, hi, like we hopped on this call. Like, hi, how are you doing? What happened that made you send me that email or that message? Like what was going on for you then? And what's going on for you right now that you want to work through today?
And what is that thing usually?
Usually, they are perceiving judgment for a boundary they're trying to enforce.
Okay.
Or a pattern that they've been working on leaving. And we grow in an upward staircase trajectory. So sometimes we'll hit the same flavor of problem with a different face on. So they've graduated from the basics of this issue and now they're on to level 2 and they're there to beat the boss on level 2 and they're panicking because they're like, I thought I've healed this.
Okay. I'm writing notes so I can do this. Okay, so what is one thing that you have enjoyed since you were a kid? Doesn't have anything to do with money or business or anything. It can be anything. What is something you've enjoyed since you were a kid?
Disney.
Disney. Why?
I have a big Disney tattoo. I think partly because the cartoons, at least from anyone who was born after 1984, if you were a Disney kid, they're ridiculous. Like they're like on level 10 of their character all the time, but they face like real problems that we all like have, like fear of judgment, fear of rejection, temper tantrums, whatever it is, whatever the thing is. My all-time favorite Disney character is Brave. And I have a huge Brave tattoo on my arm. And I don't know, just like the hero's journey, but from less of a perfected hero perspective and more of like a clunky, messy human who doesn't have all the answers perspective. I love it.
Okay. I love that. And what's one thing you've hated since you were a kid?
People who are intentionally mean for no reason. Like just people who delight in being mean. It's probably also why I can't watch horror movies.
Yes.
I've tried.
I love that.
Unsuccessfully.
Unsuccessfully. I love that. You know what? Me too. I love Halloween, but the horror movies, it's a huge no for me. It just does not work.
My life was scary enough. I don't need to borrow made-up figures.
No, we're good.
It's fine.
I heard somebody say that if you had a shitty childhood, you love Halloween. And if you had a really good childhood, you love Christmas.
I love the emotional idea of Christmas and all of its aesthetics, and I don't like anything else that comes with it. Except for maybe the snacks.
Yeah, I'm here for the snacks. I'm here for the snacks and the fireplace. Okay, so back to your brand. We have talked about what you do and how you help the people, but how do you feel when you help the people?
When I am in the helping, I'm so focused, like nothing else is happening around me. And my favorite thing is when I can see the lights come on in someone's eyes and they unlock a new understanding about themselves or let themselves off the hook for something or realize that they're not fucked up or whatever it is. That is my favorite part. And then like after a call, I get off the call and I like dance in my kitchen. I'm like, I could do this every day for the rest of my life. I could just have an unending conveyor belt of humans coming and you get affirmation and you get affirmation and you get affirmation. And here's a little bit of homework. It's okay if it's clunky and you get validation. And it's just like, yeah, I love it. I'm like, why do I have to fold the laundry?
Right? I think that is everybody's Achilles heel is the laundry. It certainly is mine. Okay, so when you are doing all of this work, you've helped the people, they've moved on. What kind of changes do you usually see or they tell you they've had post this? So like we're 2 weeks after you helped them.
Okay, so one of my favorite clients actually came to an event that we were all at a month ago, and I got to see them show up in their whole self in a way that they would never have before our last call. They just were like fully embracing their neurodiversity. They were fully embracing their bonus mom energy, and they had like pink hair and were playing with everyone's kids, and like they were just like loving themselves, and past them would have like shrunk in a corner and waited to be asked to serve. Mm-hmm. Instead of just plugging themselves in where they could see it already. Like they were unapologetic about their gifts and their desires. And it was so amazing to watch. I was like Oprah in my heart, just being like, yeah.
Clapping. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so good. That is what we're all really aiming for. Okay, so this is all like very lovely and it sounds super life-changing. Right now, how do you tell people about what you do? What kind of tools are you using?
Okay, so I have inconsistently been on other people's podcasts and was less discerning about whether they would even have my audience in their audience or not than I used to be. Mostly I've just been posting into the void of Meta, Facebook, and Instagram and just seeing what happens. I have a strong and mighty mailing list of 77.
Okay, hold on, we gotta pause.
I do, I know.
Okay.
I have a strong but mighty email list with 77 people on it, and I have like a 60% open rate, and people reply, and occasionally someone will purchase, but like mostly, oh, you're so inspiring. And I'm like, inspiring to what action? So I had like a lot of crickets on my links, but a lot of likes and hearts and replies. So like this month, I just hit 24,000 views on my content and I have 500 followers. So I'm like, okay, so there is a disconnect between my story and getting like actual booked calls. Cool.
Okay. Well, that's why we do this work.
Right.
So we can fix that.
I'm like, clearly I cannot
Okay, so
DIY
what messages are you saying on the posts that are doing well? The ones where you're getting likes and clicks and views. What are you saying?
I'm sharing from a place of like integration of hard things that I've come through and how I've changed how I view myself in those situations and what I did to get there. So like having hard conversations with people you care about where you might face rejection and probably will, and like how I navigated that. yesterday I posted about having like a tragic event when I was 18 and I'm now 38. And it was interesting to notice in all the comments, every single person that commented on that post was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that happened to me too. The pain is so, and like nothing in the post was from the position of me being sad or the position of me being still in pain. They completely missed the transformation part in the middle and the part where it's like, so I think there's a disconnect between that somewhere.
Okay, tell me more about that post. What did you say?
Okay. So I shared about having a late term miscarriage when I was 19 and how at the time that's what sent me on the path of like looking for answers about what's bigger outside of myself. And I took the scenic route through evangelical Christianity and eventually arrived where I am now. But I was sharing about how every single day I sit in the duality of having like a really great life that I'm really proud of, that I would have never achieved had I been a parent, and also missing my son. So like I miss my son at Christmas and at Halloween and when my wife and I got married and when we bought our house. But I'm also like, look at what I get to do now that I would have never gotten to do if I literally had a 19-year-old adult child right now. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Because both things can be true.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you shared that story and everybody said that they were feeling sad about it, how much of that post did you focus on what's happening now, and at what point in the post? Was it a written post or was it like a video?
It was a written post on my Facebook, and I think I posted it on Instagram too. I focused about 50% on the before / the sad side or the tender side of grief, and then 50% on the rest. But I don't know. I'm like fixing it in my head while I'm talking to you, but
we'll fix it after. No, that's perfect though, because I think what we're looking at here is I've got some information here now. It's not, you're helping the people and you're helping them when you're actually in it, but you're having trouble getting them the information about it. And I think part of the reason here is that what you're helping them through is very hard and sad. And the main emotion that people are used to doing when they see sad is say, oh, I'm so sorry, please feel better, so I don't have to feel that feeling too, right? And if the people you're helping are feeling that, then we need to find a way to help them with your content feel like it's time to take action and like they don't have to feel the sad feeling or make the sad feeling go away, because they already have their sad feeling. They want to fix their sad feeling, but they're sick of just ignoring it. Clearly, because by the time they come to you, they're saying things like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so sticky. My life is chaos. I've been avoiding it. And like things are swirling around me. So I think that sharing stories is going to be a really great way for you to connect with them. But I think when we do this, we have to restructure how you're going to say them so that we are focusing on the feeling they're going to feel afterwards and how that's going to affect their day-to-day life. So they're sitting there reading this. And have you ever heard, like, I learned a lot about this when I did Photographers Without Borders, where you can't like focus on like the trauma porn, they call it. Like you don't want to just draw people in with like the sad and the scary, because some people just want to like feel it in other people, like watching a horror movie. They want to feel it in other people because they don't want to feel it themselves because it's scary and it's sad. And if I can like look at other people's pain, then I like feel like I'm a little scratching my itch, but like not deep enough, you know?
Yes, exactly.
And I think your people are going to be especially prone to that kind of thing. So the main things you said when you were talking about your people and your ideal client, or however you want to call them, is it's chaos, they're overwhelmed, and they're super vulnerable. So I think in your content, what we have to do is establish that you are the safe place to talk about these things. And so instead of necessarily sharing the story, I think what we share is what your life looks like now and what things helped you get there, and then like a snippet of the story so they can connect with you, but less on the story and more on how it feels for your body now. Because if we're just focusing on the story, yes, we're getting them to trust you. And those views, all your good views, is sharing that they're like, okay, well, like I can be, I can trust this person, but how am I going to make sure that they are the person who's going to help me like fix this? So you've said that being authentic and like being exactly you is a huge part of your brand, which I think needs to be one of the cores of your brand. And I think we need to show a lot more of like how you use day-to-day things to make your life manageable. So instead of being like, I'm chaos and that's what makes me me, even though that is what makes you you, the people who come to you need you to not be chaos for them. Right? Like we have a different relationship with our parents than with our kids, than with our friends, than with our whatever. So when you're stepping into content making, you have to be like the steady, safe place. Like I am also the storm, but right here in this moment, I'm the steady place. So like realistically, what are things that you do day to day that you probably think aren't important that you could use to make content that would show them this?
I wake up and go to bed within the same 60-minute window every single day, except when I have a fun thing planned. Because if I don't do that, my bandwidth as an autistic human is not there to hold space for myself, never mind anyone else.
Okay. So one of the pieces of content that you're going to make this week is about your bedtime schedule. Seems lame, but that's showing the people like, I'm ready to help you. I've calmed my own chaos. Not necessarily that they're going to come to you for a bedtime schedule, right? You're demonstrating to them like, this is the way that I'm taking care of myself. I do a lot of the same thing. Like I always post that I'm going on my nature walks because you can't be creative if you don't, like, for me anyways, the little air sign needs to like frolic in the leaves and shit. I'm like, I need to get into this place with you. So I'm showing them that I'm taking care of myself so that I can take care of them. So one of the things you can post about is that bedtime routine, how it's changed your life, and like a little snippet of how you felt before. And you're going to use words that they use. One's like chaos, overwhelm, vulnerable. You can even say vulnerability tornado. I think that's fucking hilarious. You should say that a lot. It's like a feelings casserole, a hormone casserole. That's what I always said when I was pregnant. That was a hormones casserole.
It's like me about 7 days before I bleed every single month.
Right? Hormone casserole. It's a whole thing. And it's
why am I yelling at the cat?
Over the sides. Okay, so the other thing is that most of the people who come to you, they need to be visible. Like their soul needs them to be visible. Obviously, they're choosing the kind of lives where they have to be visible, but it's still scary and hard.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing that I do that I just realized that I didn't think it was important that actually really is I've structured how my personal grooming, the clothes that I wear, the linens on my bed are all catered to my sensory needs so that I don't feel like I don't look like myself, like I'm not being myself when other people perceive me. So like when we were at that event that I was talking about, I was wearing a satin top and sweatpants because I needed to be comfortable to focus. And I didn't feel insecure about the literal goddesses walking past me in shimmering ball gowns because I would hate to be wearing one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to make content about that too, because how on earth do you actually be authentic when your insides feel like a vulnerability tornado? Well, you put on something that makes you feel good. And that thing that makes you feel good isn't necessarily a ball gown or a whatever, because I have heard so many times from you, from other clients, from people who come to me too. They're like, I want to feel powerful, but I can't look like these other people who they think are powerful. So I think a lot of like rewriting, like this is what makes me powerful and great and wonderful because of who I am. So what makes you feel that way? So you could definitely get some engagement in some posts by talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that you've discovered this for yourself. Like this didn't happen overnight. You didn't realize that the satin top and the sweatpants was going to make you feel like your best self until you fucking tried.
Yeah.
And they might need to do some trial and error. And that's where you help them. So every single one of these posts where you're talking about, this is the thing that I've done to help myself. This is the little snippet of what it felt like before. And this is how I help people just like you, or specifically you, find this thing for themselves, because this might not be their key, but they have a key. There's a key somewhere. You're going to help them find it. You're going to help them pick the keychain that makes them feel nice about it. And you're going to help them unlock their little door every day.
Love it. I love it. So many metaphors we can't get into.
So many. Okay, maybe the key was off the wrong.
No, I have a key tattooed on my arm. It's fine. Perfect.
It's perfect. So the other thing that we need to talk about is the long term. Like, how are we going to help them feel better long term? And how have the things that you've done for yourself and clients help them feel better long term? So I think sharing some client stories like you just did, without like giving away who the person is, and how have we helped them long term? What kind of things are we going to talk about that you're not going to use necessarily the same approach for every single person? And that's why it has to be one-on-one. And how you're going to bring things that are like outside the box into this, because you're outside the box and so are they. Because your ideal client, I would assume, is not a cookie cutter human.
No, the reason they're still stuck where they're stuck is because they don't see a mentor who looks, moves, and breathes the way that they do. Like, that's the thing. They're stuck in the inspiration porn. And I'm like, hi, I'm a weird but also normal adult. Let me help you.
Perfect. So we need to bring them that, like, I'm going to help you long term. I'm the safe place. And we also need to remember that they're super overwhelmed. So when you're making these posts, like, how long is that post?
They sound like work. And I'm open to figuring out how to make it not sound like work, even though it is work.
It is work, but why is it worth doing the work is what we're going to focus on. Because nobody is going to start a new exercise thing without like knowing it's going to be actual work, but they want to feel like it's possible. So same with this. A lot of people, they're talking about like life-changing modalities and all these things. And I'm like, okay, but when are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? Like, can I fit this into the fucking shitstorm that I have now? Because if they feel like they have to add one more thing to their plate, they're not going to do it, because they're already, like we said, they're in chaos, they're overwhelmed, they're in the vulnerability tornado. So what if we make some content about what they can replace?
Yeah.
So they could replace their doom scrolling 30 minutes with talking to you. Or they could replace their rant on the phone to so-and-so about things that don't matter with talking to you. They could replace spinning in circles in their kitchen, not actually cleaning up, with talking to you. Right?
We call that procrastinating.
Procrastinating. Yes.
Yes.
So can they get help from you whilst procrastinating? So we need to make sure that they feel like it can fit in their life. So when they come to you and they're doing things, because we all just, it's a priority, right? We're going to prioritize what's going to actually work for us. So what are some of the things that you've helped them realize that they can get rid of in their life?
The most helpful thing for me, that also piece of content, this is so fun. I think everyone needs a you in their life. Anyway, is like putting a screen time, not management, but just accountability thing on all of my devices to tell me which apps I spent the most time in weekly. Changed it. I actually only spend 2 hours or less total on Instagram or Facebook weekly, and nobody would know because it looks like I'm on there all the time. But I just go in, I post, I hang out, I do some engagement for 15 minutes, and then I leave. I literally have 15 minutes for each of my apps. And then I have an hour and a half to go in as people DM me or whatever, right? So that took 2 years to find the right amount of time for me. But in order to do that, I had to first be willing to look at how much of my life I was wasting consuming content so that I wouldn't feel my feelings. Like, literally.
So that's a big, scary thing. And that's a thought we think and we say to me and we write down, but that's not a thought we make to content because we need to make them feel less overwhelmed.
Yes.
So we're going to replace something. So we're going to say, I used to doom scroll and spend all this time. And instead of doing this work, I would spend way too much time on my phone. And then you would say, until I was able to look at myself and say, this is what I need to change, I couldn't change it. It would have been so much easier if I would have done it with somebody. And I helped a client do this last week, blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
right?
beautiful.
So we're going to replace something. We're going to say, instead of spiraling every evening on Instagram, what if you did the two things from my list that's going to help you, and you knew that you had a call booked with me or something like that? Because you're giving them an option of this is going to be better than what you have right now. Because when people come to you and they're actually ready to make change, they're so sick of right now that it has to change. But if you don't offer them like, we can fix this, but also we can make it happen realistically in your life, they're going to be like, I can't do that. Right?
So this would be like a good place to put all of my 2 minutes or less, like emergency breaker, you're feeling overwhelmed, reset thing.
Yeah. You should post those every single day. Because when people are doom scrolling, they might be doom scrolling on your stuff. And we don't want to shame them and say you're doing bad, because that's one of your core values is no shame. Absolutely not. You don't like when people are mean. You hated organized religion. For sure, that's one of the things that is important to you. Because absolutely same. So we don't want to shame them and be like, you're shitty. You need me. Absolutely no. What we're going to do is say, I've also done this. What if we break that cycle just this once? Here's the tiny thing I'm going to offer you. And then they do. And then they're like, holy shit, I feel better. And then they come to you for more, right? Because we know that your ideal client, or whatever we want to call them, they're overwhelmed and it's chaotic. So we want to give them like those little breakers to like shorten this up and be like, hey, I'm going to give you a lifeline for this one moment. And then they're going to come back for more. So what do you have right now for those 2-minute things? Tell me about those.
Like already recorded or tools that I use?
Both.
Okay. So I have little breathwork things that people can do simply without anyone even knowing that they're doing them. You could do them in your car. You could do them in the bathroom. You could put your hands in your hoodie and hold the positions with your fingers for the pressure points and just breathe through specific patterns that don't sound weird or make you look like a freak. That can help like just de-escalate things. When we reduce our heart rate, we naturally become calmer. It's wild. You don't actually have to change any circumstances at all. It took me a really long time to realize that. So that's one thing. I also created like an inner child visualization that people can either, if they're auditory, they can close their eyes and listen to it. It's 5 minutes and 55 seconds long, or they can just listen to it while they like literally fold the laundry or walk the dog or make the kids dinner or whatever their family looks like. So I have a never ending toolbox of things that I've recorded for clients in private one-on-one sessions that I just have available.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think realistically you could make 5 of those into instant links where you capture their email and they can have it within 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. So do that. And then we're going to make content about how it's okay that shit's chaotic. You don't have to make time for me. I'm going to make time for you. And then you hook them in with that. And then you're going to talk more with your email list, because you said you have a good email list. We're going to follow up after they get that thing and be like, so did that feel better? You could have that every day and you could not get to that point. And then you start talking more in long form when they have the time to sit and read the email about, this is what I do for my clients. Every single client's different, but I help them figure out how they're going to do the things they really want to do, but they feel overwhelming, right? Like, I think that's probably a big thing for your client is like, I want to be visible. I want to be in the spotlight, but holy shit, I feel like my head's going to explode. So you can talk to them directly and be like, I know that you want that and you can, because me too, but these are the tools you need. And this is why you got to consistently do them, because you can do them once for an emergency, but like, let's not get into the emergency so much. And then if you start making content about that, then people will be like, okay, I've seen it work for myself. I'm feeling more comfortable with it. this is what I can do next, and lead them through it.
Yes.
Right? And then
so
make
excited.
sure in these emails, you're asking for the sale. So how are you going to ask for the sale that you're not going to feel cringy? We got to think of 3 ways right now.
Okay. So I don't actually feel cringy asking for sales when I believe it's in service of the person who's reading it. So I've done the effort of clearing out my mailing list in the last, 3 months by having a sale, a call to action, something in there every single time. It's like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. This is perfect for this person. This is perfect for this person. If you've never worked for me before, go do this free thing first and then come back. Right. So like I have that. I think that my problem is I over teach in my emails rather than I don't sell. So by the time they get to my sales or calls to action, they're like falling asleep or moving on with their day. So
especially if you know that your people are dealing with overwhelm.
Yeah.
So my challenge to you would be that your emails had to be 5 sentences or less.
What? Okay.
Yeah. No, seriously. And if you want them to read more or listen more, then have a link to where you say more, and then have your
and then a
blog,
link to like
or
a
have
blog
your video, or have where you want to word vomit ramble. But if they're not ready for that, you can't give that to them because you know that they are overwhelmed.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that makes it easier. Because like I actually have the Magic Within coming up. It's like going to be my group mentoring thing for people who are like, I want to be seen. I want to be helped by Cheryl, but I definitely do not want a one-on-one conversation because I feel like I cannot hide and it is freaking me out. Okay. So I've packaged it into a 4-week thing where we do like the somatic work on the front end of the week. And then we do like the here's why it worked.
Okay.
Tell me what you experienced during the week at the end of the week. And that's it. Like there's no actual like homework because they're already at capacity. The homework is showing up. Like that's it. Ta-da, you did it.
Okay. So when you're marketing that needs to be the whole pitch. The homework, all you have to do is show up. That's all I'm asking of you. Nothing else. Literally all you have to do is show up and you get your gold star. Boom. Nailed it. Right? So we're going to talk to them like it doesn't add anything. You can have your camera off. You can listen while you fold your laundry. Like just focus on that with this program hugely. And then when they respond to you with those things, use those words that they say to you and use that for content for the next thing you're going to pitch.
Okay.
Because those exact words that they're saying to you is what the other people are feeling. Because we always try to like take it and make it nice. People are like, oh, I need it to sound professional. No, you need it to sound like the voice in their head.
Yeah. One of the worst things that ever happened to me, tongue in cheek, if any of my university profs listen to this podcast, was getting trained to classically write. Like everyone's like, oh, your copy is so amazing. And they're like the coaches in the industry, like, Cheryl, your copy is so amazing. Can you write copy for me? I'm like, sure, if you don't want any of your programs to sell.
I love that.
Thank you. I'm here all day. That's also not true, but you know, that's the moment.
I do know what you mean though, because what we need to do is like make them feel like you can actually help them. Because if they believe that it can help, A, it will help, and B, they will pay you. And if they feel like it's going to be extra work, they're going to say, fuck that, I'm out. Or they'll say, someday, that's my favorite. Oh, someday, when I have the time, when the stars align, someday I'll do this. And we got to talk about why they need it now, because we're going to replace things. We're going to help them in this moment. We're going to send them emails that are not overwhelming. We're going to give them a way to do it either one-on-one if the group is scary, or in the group if the one-on-one is scary. And then we're going to keep talking about it. So realistically, how often can you post?
I can post even with my 2.5 hours a day thing that I spend on the socials. Honestly, I post right now whenever I feel like it, or if I'm like, I don't want to post today, then I go and deal with my stinky attitude and then post. So anytime, really.
Okay, so could you do the homework that I sent you and make those 5 freebies, set up an email funnel of some kind, and post every day for like 30 days?
Yes.
Okay. Do it. And then I want you to come back and let me know, and I'll add this to the podcast.
Okay.
How it went.
Make the whatever. It's recorded. I'll watch the replay.
I'll send it to you so you can remember your homework.
That'll be great. Well, I'll know like conceptually what my homework is. I've already got like weekly like reels actually happen in a couple of hours, so I can do like the first few. Yeah, no, this is exciting. I'm excited.
So make sure every single time you post, you run it through the filter of, am I helping them feel less chaotic? Like, even if I'm feeling chaotic and exciting, how can I be the steady place for them? Still you, just they need you to not be chaotic you. So if you need to be chaotic somewhere else on the internet, absolutely do that. I do that. That's why I have my TikTok, so I can be as chaotic as I want. And we have to remember that there has to be room for their imagination and for them to be seen. Right? And that it doesn't add, like, it's not going to add to their overwhelm. It's going to take away from their overwhelm. Like, realistically today and also long term. But we got to talk the most about today. How can I help them feel better today in this moment? And then once they feel better, then they can have the bandwidth to be like, I could do a 4-week program now that I felt better in this moment.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I think it's going to go good.
For anyone who couldn't see that, I just did 2 thumbs up.
There's a thumbs up. For those not watching live, there was 2 thumbs up. Okay, so I want to hear, after you implement these things, how it went. Okay, and then I will add that as a bonus episode and link the 2. Okay. Even if you just type it out to me and I read it.
Okay.
And so this is the kind of thing we do when we map out your brand. Except for now, if you are actually in a program with me, like the new one that I'm going to be doing soon, which is called the Visionary Brand Intensive.
I'm like, I know what's in it, but I don't know its name.
Yes, I do. My phone knew the name. What we do is we map this shit out, and then every single day I can be like, okay, what are we doing today? Because making the plans is like 10%. Implementing the plans is the other 90%. Because if we talk through this and that's great, and then you go off and do your life and you don't do the things, then it will not help, realistically. But that's what we do here at West Rose Media. Thank you very much, Cheryl, for being my adorable guinea pig. You did very, very well. I appreciate it. And I'm glad we got to do this. And I'm excited to see what you do. And make sure you tag me in your posts so I can see them.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And make sure you subscribe and make sure that you send this to a friend. And make sure that if you actually want help to implement this, that you join me in my new program, because it's going to be freaking amazing. And I'm going to have the link in the show notes. I love you all. Bye. That's a wrap, friends. If you're ready to finally embody the brand you've been dreaming of, it's time to make your move. And hey, don't keep this to yourself. Hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend who's ready to step it up and own their power too. Let's build these empires together.